The space station Peaceful Dawn floated quietly in the dark void. It was small and white, built by the Veltari people for studying space. Dr. Veltar Quinn worked alone in the main lab, looking at tiny pieces of space dust through his microscope. The station was far from any planets. Very far. The nearest Veltari world was 3 weeks away, even with their fastest ships, but that was normal. Scientists like Quinn often worked in lonely places to study things that others could not see. Quinn was having a good day. The space dust samples were interesting. Some of them glowed with strange colors when he put them under special lights. He made notes in his computer and hummed a soft tune, then everything went wrong. The lights flickered. The computer screens turned blue, then black, then blue again. Strange beeping sounds filled the air. Quinn looked up from his microscope with worry in his eyes. "Computer, what is happening?" he asked. The computer's voice sounded broken and strange. System ... failure. In progress ... communications ... damaged. Quinn ran to the main control panel. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The communication system was making loud, angry noises. Sparks flew from one of the control boxes. "Oh no, oh no, oh no," Quinn said to himself. He was not a repair person. He was a scientist who studied space dust. He knew nothing about fixing broken machines. He tried to shut down the communication system, but it would not listen to him. The machine kept sending signals into space. But these signals were wrong. Very wrong. The broken computer was confused. It thought the space dust samples were enemy weapons. It thought the small research tools were big guns shooting at the station. It thought the station was under attack. So it sent a message. A very loud message that traveled through space at the speed of light. Help us, the message said. "This is Peaceful Dawn. We are being attacked by enemy ships. Our weapons are not working. We need help right now. Please come fast." But there was no attack. There were no enemy ships. There was only Quinn, alone in his lab, trying to understand why his machines were acting crazy. The message flew through space, getting farther and farther away from the little research station. It used an old communication channel that nobody used anymore. A channel that had been quiet for hundreds of years. Far away. On a planet called Earth, the message finally reached someone who could hear it. Harin was tired. She had been working all night at the space monitoring station above Earth. Her job was to listen for signals from space. Most nights she heard nothing but the quiet hum of empty space. But tonight was different. Her computer screen suddenly lit up with bright colors. A signal was coming in. A very strong signal. Harin sat up straight in her chair. She put on her headphones and listened carefully. The signal was coming from very far away, and it was in a language she had never heard before. "Computer, translate this message," she said. The computer worked for a few seconds. Then it spoke. "Translation complete. The message says, help us. Help us. This is Peaceful Dawn. We are being attacked by enemy ships. Our weapons are not working. We need help right now. Please come fast." Harin's heart started beating fast. Someone was in trouble. Someone was calling for help, but who and where? She checked her star maps. The signal was coming from a place called the Veil Nebula. It was very far away. No human ships had ever been there. Harin pressed a button on her control panel. "Command Center, this is Monitor Station 7. I have an emergency signal. Unknown aliens are asking for help." The message went to the moon, where the human space fleet had its main base. Admiral Jinha was in his office, drinking coffee and reading reports about patrol ships. When the message came in, Jinha was an old soldier. He had fought in many space battles. He had seen good people die because help came too late. He had seen worlds burn while other aliens pretended they could not hear the calls for help. "Let me hear the message," Jinha said to his assistant. "Captain Quan." Quan played the alien message 3 times. Each time, Jinha's face became more serious. "Sir," Quan said, "we do not know these aliens. We do not know if they are good or bad. Maybe we should send just one small ship to look first." Jinha stood up from his desk. He walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. He could see the blue and green planet turning slowly in space. He thought about all the times humans had called for help and nobody came. He thought about all the human colonies that had been destroyed while aliens said, "We need to think about this more." "How many ships do we have ready to fight?" Jinha asked. "The Fifth Fleet is ready, sir, 44 ships. But, sir, should we not be more careful? We know nothing about these aliens or their enemies." Jinha turned around. His eyes were hard like steel. "Captain, do you know what I learned in the war? I learned that when someone calls for help, you go. You go fast and you go with everything you have. You do not wait. You do not think too much, you act." "But, sir—" "No buts, Captain. Somewhere out there, people are dying. Maybe they are good people. Maybe they are bad people. I do not care. They called for help, and we will answer. That is what makes us human." Jinha walked to his communication panel. He pressed a button. That would send his voice to every ship in the Fifth Fleet. "This is Admiral Jinha," he said. "We have received a distress call from unknown aliens. They are under attack and need help. We leave in 1 hour, full battle ready. All ships, all weapons, all people, we go to war." In his lab, Dr. Quinn was still trying to fix his broken communication system. He did not know that his accidental message had reached Earth. He did not know that 44 human warships were getting ready to travel across the galaxy to save him. He did not know that he had just called the most dangerous fighters in the galaxy. And they were coming, all of them. The human space fleet was like nothing else in the galaxy. Other aliens built their ships to look pretty and smooth. They painted them in bright colors and made them shine like jewelry in space. Human ships were different, very different. The biggest ship was called Indomitable. It was Admiral Jinha's command ship. The hull was dark gray and covered with scars from old battles. Big guns stuck out from every side. Thick armor plates covered the important parts. It looked like a metal beast ready to fight. "Status report," Jinha said as he walked onto the bridge. "All ships ready, sir," Captain Quan replied. "The fleet is waiting for your order." Jinha looked at the big screen that showed all 44 ships. Each one was built for war. Each one had fought in battles before. Each one was ready to fight. Again, the Hellfire was covered in missile tubes. The Iron Fist had the biggest cannons in the fleet. The Night Hunter was painted black and built for sneaking up on enemies. The Stormbringer carried fighters that could move very fast. Other aliens would have been scared to see these ships. But Jinha felt proud. These were his ships, his people, his family. "Harin, how long to reach the aliens?" Jinha asked. Harin looked at her computer. She had been moved to the Indomitable for this mission. 18 hours if we go as fast as possible, sir." "And what do we know about the enemy?" "Nothing, sir. We do not know who is attacking them. We do not know how many enemy ships there are. We do not know what weapons they have." Jinha nodded. This was normal for humans. They often went into fights without knowing much about their enemies. It was scary, but it worked. "Sir," said a young officer, "what if this is a trap? What if the aliens are lying to us?" Jinha looked at the officer. "Then we will fight our way out." "But if they are not lying and we do not help, then good people will die. I would rather fight a trap than let innocent people suffer." The other officers nodded. This was the human way. "Help first, ask questions later." "All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump," Jinha announced. Around the fleet, the big ships started to change. Their engines glowed brighter. Energy fields formed around their hulls. The space around them began to bend and twist. Captain Quan checked his instruments. "All ships report ready, sir." "Then let's go save some aliens," Jinha said. Space exploded into light. The 44 ships jumped into hyperspace, traveling faster than light itself. They left behind streaks of blue fire in the darkness. In the engine room of the Indomitable, Chief Engineer Park wiped sweat from his face. "Push the engines harder," he told his crew. "Someone needs help." "We do not keep people waiting," the engines roared louder. The ship moved faster. On the bridge, Jinha spoke to all his ship captains at once. "Listen carefully. We are going to help aliens we have never met. We do not know what we will find. But we know someone called for help, and we answered. The captains listened on their own ships. Captain Yang of the Iron Fist cleaned his glasses. Captain Kim of the Stormbringer checked her weapons. Captain Lee of the Night Hunter studied the star maps. We might find a big battle, Jinha continued. We might find destroyed ships and dead aliens. We might find enemies that are stronger than us. But we will do what humans do best. We will fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Sir, Captain Kwan said quietly, what if we are too late? What if the aliens are already dead? Jinha was quiet for a moment. Then he said, then we will find who killed them, and we will make sure they never kill anyone else again. The fleet flew through hyperspace like angry ghosts. Inside the ships, human soldiers got ready for battle. They cleaned their weapons, they put on their armor. They said prayers to whatever gods they believed in. Sergeant Major Cho walked through the halls of the Indomitable. He checked on his Marines. These were the soldiers who would fight on alien ships and alien worlds. Listen up, Cho told his Marines. We are going to save some aliens. They might be big, they might be small. They might be green or blue or purple, I do not care. If they need help, we give it to them, the Marines nodded. They had fought on many worlds. They had saved many people. It did not matter if those people were human or alien. What if they do not want our help? Asked one young Marine. Then we help them anyway, Cho replied. Sometimes people are too scared to know they need help. Sometimes they are too proud to ask for it, but we help them because that is what humans do. On the bridge, Harin watched the stars fly by. She thought about the message she had received. The aliens had sounded so scared, so desperate. Sir, she said to Jinha, what if we cannot save them? What if we are not strong enough? Jinha walked over to her station. He put his hand on her shoulder. Harin, do you know why other aliens call us Deathworlders? Because we come from a dangerous planet? No, they call us Deathworlders because we do not know how to quit. We do not know how to give up. We do not know how to say this is impossible. We just keep fighting until we win or until we die trying. Harin felt better. She had heard stories about human battles, about impossible victories, about times when humans had won fights they should have lost. 15 hours to destination, she announced. Jinha looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, aliens were waiting for help. Maybe they were still alive, maybe they were not, but the humans were coming anyway. All ships, maintain formation, Jinha ordered. We go in together, we fight together, we win together. The fleet flew on through the darkness, carrying with them the fury of a people who had learned that when someone calls for help, you answer with everything you have. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace like thunder in the darkness. 44 warships appeared at once, their weapons ready and their shields up. They expected to find a battle. They expected to find burning ships and dead aliens. Instead, they found something very strange. Sir, Captain Kwan said, looking at his instruments with confusion, there is only one ship here. It is small. It looks like a research station. I do not see any damage. Admiral Jinha stared at the main screen. The alien station was white and clean. It had no bullet holes. No burn marks, no broken parts. It looked perfectly safe. Where are the enemy ships? Jinha asked. I do not see any enemy ships, sir. I do not see any wreckage. I do not see any signs of battle. Jinha felt confused. The distress call had been very clear. The aliens had said they were under attack. They had said their weapons were not working. They had begged for help. Harin, are you sure this is the right place? Harin checked her instruments twice. Yes, sir. The signal came from that station, I am certain. On the research station Peaceful Dawn, Dr. Quinn was having the worst day of his life. It had started when his communication system broke. Now it was getting much worse. By the 7 moons, he whispered as he watched the human ships appear on his screen. What are those things? Dr. Quinn had never seen ships like these before. They were dark and scary. They had big guns pointing in all directions. They looked like they were built for one purpose: killing. Computer, identify those ships, he said with a shaking voice. The computer worked for a moment. Then it spoke, "Ships identified as human military vessels. Species classification, Deathworlders, threat level, maximum." Quinn's legs became weak. Deathworlders, he had heard stories about these creatures. They came from a planet so dangerous that it killed most things that lived there. They were violent and unpredictable. They fought wars that other aliens would never dare to fight, and now they were here. All of them. Dr. Quinn, his assistant, Dr. Voss, called from the next room. "The communication system is working again, but we have an incoming message." Quinn walked to the communication panel on legs that felt like water. He pressed the button to receive the message. A deep voice spoke in perfect Veltari language. "Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Jinha of the Terran Defense Fleet. We received your distress call. What is your status?" Quinn's mouth opened and closed like a fish. The human had learned their language. The human was asking about their condition. The human sounded polite. "Answer him," Dr. Voss whispered. "If you do not answer, they might think we are enemies." Quinn pressed the communication button with a shaking finger. "Terran vessel," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "There has been a terrible mistake. We are conducting peaceful research. We sent no distress call. Our communications broke during normal repairs. On the Indomitable, the bridge became very quiet." The human officers looked at each other with surprise. "Sir," Captain Kwan said carefully, "if there is no emergency, ... Then we came all this way for nothing," Jinha finished. He rubbed his forehead. Around the galaxy, other aliens would be angry about this. They would demand payment for the wasted fuel. They would want apologies and explanations, but humans thought differently about these things. Jinha opened the communication channel again. "Dr. Quinn, we understand the confusion. However, since we are here, perhaps we can help you. Do you need any supplies, medical aid, or repairs?" Dr. Quinn could not believe what he was hearing. The humans were not angry. They were offering to help. These terrible Deathworlders, these creatures of war, were asking if he needed anything. You're not mad at us?" Quinn asked. "We made you waste fuel and time. We brought your whole fleet here for no reason." Jinha smiled, though the alien could not see it. "Doctor, in our experience, there is no such thing as a wasted rescue. Mission: if someone calls for help, we come. If they do not need help, we are happy to be wrong." Dr. Voss moved closer to the communication panel. She had been listening to everything. "Admiral Jinha, may I ask you something?" "Of course." "Your reputation in the galaxy is—" "Well, you are known as warriors, fighters. Why are you being so kind to us?" Jinha was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Dr. Voss, do you know what we learned when we first went to the stars?" "No, sir." "We learned that the galaxy can be a cold and lonely place. We learned that sometimes good people die because nobody comes to help them. We learned that it is better to come when you are not needed than to not come when you are." Dr. Quinn felt tears in his eyes. These humans, these feared Deathworlders, had traveled across the galaxy because they thought someone needed help. And when they found out there was no emergency, they offered help anyway. "Admiral," Quinn said, "would you and your officers like to come aboard our station? We have tea and food. It is not much, but it is the least we can offer." Captain Kwan looked at Jinha with surprise. "Sir, is that safe? We know nothing about these aliens." Jinha stood up from his command chair. "Captain, they just invited us to have tea. I think they are probably not going to try to kill us with snacks." Harin laughed quietly. Other officers smiled too. Their admiral was right. These aliens seemed more scared than dangerous. "Dr. Quinn," Jinha said, "we would be honored to visit your station. But we must warn you, we are not used to alien food. We might not be able to eat everything you offer." "That is fine," Quinn replied. "We are not used to having visitors, especially visitors who come in warships." An hour later, Admiral Jinha and 5 of his officers were sitting in the small dining area of the Peaceful Dawn. Dr. Quinn and Dr. Voss served them a warm drink that tasted like flowers and honey. "This is very good," Jinha said, sipping the alien tea. What is it called? Moonflower tea? Dr. Voss replied. It grows on our home world. We brought some with us to remind us of home. Jinha nodded. He understood that feeling. Human ships always carried coffee and chocolate for the same reason. Dr. Quinn, Jinha said, what kind of research do you do here? Quinn's face lit up. We study space dust and gas clouds. We want to understand how stars are born. Would you like to see our samples? And so began the strangest first contact in galactic history. The galaxy's most feared warriors sat drinking tea with peaceful scientists, looking at space dust through microscopes and learning about star formation. Neither species knew it yet, but this meeting would change everything. 3 days had passed since the human fleet arrived at the peaceful dawn. What should have been a quick rescue mission had turned into something no one expected. Admiral Jinha stood in Dr. Quinn's laboratory, looking at tiny pieces of stardust. Through a microscope, the samples glowed with beautiful colors, blue, green, and gold. This is amazing, Jinha said. These dust particles are older than our solar system. Dr. Quinn smiled with pride. Some of them are from the first stars that ever existed. They carry the history of the galaxy inside them. Captain Kwan was in the next room with Dr. Voss, comparing human and Veltari star maps. Your people have been to places we have never seen, he said. These nebula readings could help our colony worlds. And your people have been to places that we thought were too dangerous, Dr. Voss replied. You have colonies near black holes and neutron stars? We always thought those areas were impossible to live in. Haran walked into the laboratory carrying a data pad. Admiral, we have received 17 messages from Earth. Command wants to know when we are coming home. Jinha looked up from the microscope. What did you tell them? I told them we are conducting important diplomatic research, Haran said. With a small smile, Dr. Quinn laughed. Is that what we are calling it, diplomatic research? It is better than saying we are having tea parties with aliens, Jinha replied. The past 3 days had been full of surprises. The humans had expected to find violent aliens or dangerous enemies. Instead, they found scientists who were curious about everything. The Veltari had expected to find savage warriors. Instead, they found people who asked questions and wanted to learn. Dr. Quinn, Jinha said, I have been thinking about something. Your research could help many people, but you are alone out here. What happens if you really do have an emergency? Quinn's face became serious. We call for help and hope someone hears us, but most of the time we are on our own. That is not right, Jinha said firmly. Scientists should not have to worry about being alone in dangerous places. You should be able to focus on your work. Dr. Voss joined the conversation. Admiral, that is kind of you to say. But the galaxy is a big place. Not everyone can be protected. Maybe not everyone, Jinha said. But everyone who asks for help should get it. That evening, the humans and Veltari shared dinner together in the station's small dining room. The human officers had brought food from their ships, sandwiches, fruit, and chocolate. The Veltari had made soup from vegetables they grew on the station. This chocolate is wonderful, Dr. Quinn said, taking another bite. It tastes like happiness. We have lots of it, Captain Kwan said. Humans need chocolate to stay happy. It is very important for our mental health. Dr. Voss laughed. Is that scientifically proven? Absolutely, Haran said with a serious face. Without chocolate, humans become sad and grumpy. It is a medical fact. The aliens were not sure if she was joking, but they laughed anyway. Dr. Quinn, Jinha said, I want to ask you something important. What do you think of humans now? Before we met, what did you hear about us? Quinn put down his chocolate and thought carefully. We heard that you were dangerous, that you came from the death world, that you fought wars that other species would never fight. We heard that you were violent and unpredictable. And now I think you are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, Quinn said. Jinha looked surprised. But you are dangerous to the right people, for the right reasons. You are dangerous to those who hurt others. You are dangerous to those who ignore calls for help. Jinha nodded slowly. That is the best compliment anyone has ever given us. The next morning, Harin was working at her communications station when she noticed something strange. "Admiral, I need to show you something important." Jinha came to look at her screen. "What is it?" "I have been studying the original distress signal. I found something we missed before." Harin pointed to the data on her screen. "Look at this pattern. The communication system did not just break randomly." "What do you mean?" "A solar flare hit their station 2 days before we arrived. The flare damaged their communication array. The system tried to repair itself, but it made mistakes. That is why it sent the wrong message." Jinha studied the data. "So their call for help was really an accident?" "Yes, but here is the important part," Harin said. "If we had not come, their communication system would have failed completely in 6 hours. They would have been stuck here with no way to call for help when they really needed it." The room became very quiet. Dr. Quinn, who had been listening, sat down heavily in a chair. "You mean," Quinn said slowly, "your response to our fake emergency actually prevented a real emergency?" "Yes," Harin said. "If we had not come, you would have been trapped here with no communication. If something had gone wrong after that, nobody would have known." Captain Kwan shook his head in amazement. "So we prevented a disaster by responding to a false alarm." "It seems the universe has a sense of humor," Jinha said. That afternoon, Dr. Quinn sent a message to the Veltari government. It was a long message about the humans and their actions. He recommended that his people start talking to the human government right away. "These beings may be dangerous," he wrote, "but they are dangerous for good reasons. They do not ignore people who need help. They do not leave others to face problems alone. If someone threatened innocent people, I would want these humans to be on our side." Dr. Voss was writing her own report. "The humans came when they thought we needed help," she wrote. "When they found out we did not need help, they offered it anyway. When they learned their help actually prevented a real problem, they acted like this was normal. These are not the savage warriors we were told about. These are protectors." On the Indomitable, Jinha was also writing reports, but his were different. "The Veltari are good people," he wrote to Earth Command. "They are scientists who want to learn about the universe. They are alone in dangerous places with no protection. We should help them. We should make sure they never have to face the dark alone." He paused, then added, "This is what we do. This is what makes us human. We answer when people call for help. We help even when they do not call. We make sure nobody faces the universe alone." That night, as the human fleet prepared to leave, Dr. Quinn stood at his window watching the big warships. They had come to save him from an attack that never happened. Instead, they had saved him from a disaster that had not happened yet. "Thank you," he whispered to the stars. "Thank you for coming when we called." The humans were leaving, but everything had changed. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is call for help. Because when you call for help, the humans will come, and they will bring everything they have. 6 months after the Vale Nebula incident, the galaxy was not the same place. Admiral Jinha stood in the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council on the planet Nexus Prime. Around him sat representatives from 47 different alien species. They had all come to hear about the humans and their strange way of doing things. "Admiral Jinha," said Council Leader Zephyr, a tall blue alien with 4 arms, "please explain to us why your people responded to a false distress call with your entire Fifth Fleet." Jinha looked around the room. Some aliens looked curious. Others looked worried. A few looked angry. "Honorable Council," Jinha said, "we responded because someone called for help. It does not matter if the call was real or fake. It does not matter if we knew the people who called. Someone was in trouble, and we came." "But you wasted enormous resources," said Ambassador Crix, a green reptilian alien. "Fuel, time, personnel." "Your response was completely unreasonable, was it?" Jinha asked. "Dr. Quinn, would you please tell the Council what happened?" Dr. Quinn stood up from his seat in the gallery. The small, gray-skinned Veltari looked nervous, but his voice was clear. "Honorable Council," Quinn said, The humans saved my life. Not from the attack that never happened, but from the disaster that was about to happen. If they had not come, I would have been stranded with no communication. When a real emergency occurred, no one would have known. The council members whispered among themselves. This was not what they had expected to hear. Furthermore, Dr. Quinn continued, the humans did not demand payment. They did not ask for anything in return. They offered friendship and help. They shared their food and knowledge. They treated us like family. Council leader Zephyr's forearms moved in what was a gesture of confusion among his people. Admiral, this behavior is unusual. Most species would have demanded compensation for responding to a false alarm. Most species, Jinha replied, are not human. In the back of the hall, Harin sat with other human officers. She had been promoted to commander after the Veil Nebula mission. She smiled as she watched her former admiral speak to the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The humans have created something new, continued Dr. Quinn. They have shown us that it is possible to help others without expecting anything back. They have shown us that being strong does not mean being cruel. Ambassador Crix leaned forward. Dr. Quinn, are you saying your people now trust these Deathworlders? I am saying, Dr. Quinn replied firmly, that my people have asked for a formal alliance with the humans. We want to learn from them. We want to help them help others. A wave of surprised voices filled the hall. The Veltari were known for being careful and peaceful. If they trusted the humans, it meant something important. What exactly are you proposing? Asked Council Leader Zephyr. Jinha stood up again. We propose the creation of the Galactic Emergency Response Corps. Any species that wants to join can do so. When someone calls for help, we will answer, together. And who would lead this organization? Asked Ambassador Crix. No one, Jinha said. Everyone. Each species brings what they can. The Veltari bring scientific knowledge. The humans bring military strength. Others bring medical skills, engineering, communication. We work together. This is madness, said another alien representative. You cannot run a military organization by committee. We are not running a military organization, Jinha replied. We are running a rescue organization. There is a difference. Captain Quan, who was also in the audience, remembered the day they had first met Dr. Quinn. The little alien had been so scared of the human warships. Now he was standing before the Galactic Council, speaking in favor of working with humans. Honorable Council, Dr. Quinn said, I have worked with humans for 6 months now. I have seen their ships, their weapons, their soldiers. Yes, they are dangerous. Yes, they are powerful. But they use that power to protect others, not to conquer them. How can you be sure? Asked Ambassador Crix. Because, Dr. Quinn said simply, they could have taken over my station in 5 minutes. They could have demanded anything they wanted. Instead, they asked if I needed help fixing my broken equipment. They shared their chocolate with me. Some of the council members actually smiled at that. The humans have a saying, Dr. Quinn continued. They say, no one fights alone. They mean it. When the humans are your friends, you are never alone in the darkness. Council Leader Zephyr was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Admiral Jinha, your proposal is interesting. But how do we know other species will join? Jinha looked around the room. With respect, Council Leader, they already have. As if, on cue, the doors to the hall opened. In walked representatives from 12 different species. There was Captain Yalara of the Andromedan Medical Corps, Commander Brix of the Centauri Engineers, and many others. We have all worked with the humans, said Captain Yalara. We have seen what they can do. We want to be part of this. The Emergency Response Corps already exists, Jinha said. We have been answering distress calls for 3 months. We have saved 17 ships, helped rebuild 4 colonies, and prevented 2 wars. The council members looked shocked. They had not known about any of this. Why were we not informed? Asked Council Leader Zephyr. Because, Jinha said, we do not ask permission to help people. We just help them. Ambassador Crix stood up angrily. This is against all protocols. You cannot just create military alliances without council approval. It is not a military alliance, said Dr. Quinn. It is a friendship. Friends help each other. They do not need permission to be kind. That night after the council meeting, Jinha walked through the gardens of Nexus Prime with Dr. Quinn and Harin. The alien city was beautiful, with tall towers that glowed in the darkness. Do you think they will approve the emergency response corps? Harin asked. It does not matter, Jinha replied. We will keep doing what we do whether they approve or not. We will answer when people call for help. Dr. Quinn looked up at the stars. Admiral, what will happen to the galaxy now? Jinha smiled. Something good, I think. For the first time in centuries, people will know that when they call for help, someone will come, someone will care, someone will fight for them, and if the council tries to stop us? Harin asked. Then they will learn what every enemy of humanity has learned, Jinha said. We do not give up. We do not back down. We do not leave people to face the darkness alone. 1 year later, the Galactic Emergency Response Corps had grown to include 37 species. They had answered over 400 distress calls. They had saved thousands of lives. The galaxy remembered humanity's name now. Not as the dangerous Deathworlders who came from a harsh planet, but as the people who came when you called for help. As the people who brought hope to the hopeless. And in the deep darkness between the stars, when someone was lost and alone and afraid, they would send out a signal, a call for help, a prayer to the void, and the humans would hear it. And they would come, all of them.